It's more important than ever to continue social distancing and to practice safety measures to keep you and your family healthy. And even though it is the 4th of July weekend, we want to take a break. The coronavirus will not be taking any days off. Here with some medical updates is Dr. Tom Hopkins. Hello again and welcome.
Hello.
It's always a pleasure to have you on and share your expert insight. Every day there's new reports of cases, and lately it seems like it's getting pretty serious again. Where we flatten the curve, it seems like now the numbers are ticking up. Do you call this a spike, or are we still in the first wave?
Well, I think that we're talking about this is the kind of, we're still in the same wave in a sense. It was just kind of flattened. We haven't really seen what we think is a big uptick yet, but this could be an indication of that, which is a result of some of the things that may have happened in the weeks before, where people let their guard down in social distancing and wearing masks. So I think we're seeing the effect of that. So COVID-19 never has left the community. So it's still there, and it still has opportunity to make people sick.
Yeah, yesterday Governor Newsom, he ordered indoor operations like restaurants, wineries, and movie theaters to close in 19 California counties. That's very significant, including here in Sacramento County. Do you agree with his action?
Well, I tell you, I have to agree with the actions that he's made in the areas where there is a spike that is going on, because we have to do something to stop it, to mitigate the spread. And the way to do that is for everyone to have assume responsibility in taking care of themselves by social distancing and wearing masks. And unfortunately, this has to happen where there has to be kind of an executive order to tell us what we should already be doing to minimize the spread. So it is, we're in this for the long haul. We knew that it was going to happen this way if we let our guard down, especially with the young people. So young folks that are out there thinking that you're not at risk for COVID-19, we're seeing the results of that and understanding that people who get it, young people maybe they feel that they're not at risk, but they're affecting grandma and everybody else. They're facing other vulnerable people who are at risk.
Yeah, great point. We've got to keep the guard up, and it is the Independence Day weekend that is upon us. Coronavirus is not celebrating the holiday. They're not taking any days off. And usually it's a holiday where, we get together with larger groups of family and friends. Do you think people should forgo any type of gathering, even if it's just a small group of less than 10 people?
Well, I think people have to be very aware of that. One of the other things that cause the spike, we think, is when people let their guard down, they start socializing more with their friends and family, and they let them into their kind of circle. I think when you take this time that things are going on with their spike, really know your circle of friends, your family, that's decreasing the risk within that, and not just, having a free-for-all and not paying attention to social distancing, not wearing masks. I think that you've got to be very wise and responsible about doing it, is protecting your environment, sanitizing the environment, knowing your friends and neighbors, social distance. You'll let them know that you're trying to be safe and to try to protect them. So again, we have to be aware of that, limiting those gatherings and really keeping that to your friends and your close-knit family of people that you're going to be around with.
And as we mentioned, it's July, the summer's here. Warm weather can be a really big motivator for people to get outside and enjoy the sunshine, but we are living in different times right now. If someone does want to venture out, what kinds of things should they think about?
Well, I think that venturing out, it's good to be outside. There's the mental aspect, health aspect about all of this. No one likes to be locked up indoors. We're a social beings. Everyone likes to socialize and be out there, but we got to be smart. So really try to, if you're going to go out, social distance. If you're going to run, go for a run. You don't have to wear a mask to go running and everything like that, but just keeping your distance. But if you're going to be around crowds or whatnot, then it's important to have a mask or facial covering. But you can get out, but pay attention to the social distancing and limit your exposure any place that there's crowding, and especially indoors. And that's probably the reason why the governor has put that mandate in, because there's a higher risk of closer quarters, people being close together in a confined space where there's a greater opportunity for COVID-19 to spread. So those are, good guidelines that we have to adhere to.
And can you share what you're hearing from people in your circle, those who work in healthcare? How are they feeling about these new mandates?
Well, no one's really happy about them. but they also are reassured they don't want to get sick. They don't want to have where everything shuts down, where the pandemic really spreads, and it already is having an economic impact. We know that's happening. We don't want it to have a more catastrophic impact with hospitalizations and deaths. So they're some are fearful that are in there that in our area we haven't seen a huge number of hospitalizations and deaths, right? But if we let our guard down and disregard it, then we would, and this really would tax those PPEs we're talking about. It would really stress out our services, the ventilators and the ICU, and stress our healthcare workers out. But they're just bracing themselves, hoping that this dies down by everybody remaining adherent to facial coverings and masks and social distancing.
I know personally I'm not trying to put any expectations on when things will go back to normal or what's going to happen next, but I'm going to ask you because you're an expert. Do you anticipate another shelter-in-place order having to go into place if the numbers do rise?
Well, I think there's probably a threshold. I think that there's some places in some pockets where there is a huge spike, it may happen. And that's the problem here. If an area that doesn't do what they need to do with social distancing and wearing face masks, and they have a big surge of cases, it really affects all of us, right? So you can't, it's hard to close down just one segment and think that's okay, because you're going to have migration of people who are high risk into other areas. We wouldn't want them to come in our area, right? So you end up having to lock everything down. So my hope is, and I don't know this, my hope is that everybody assumes personal responsibility, wearing masks, social distancing, washing their hands, then we won't have that happen. But if people, like especially this weekend, everyone wants to get out, if people just ignore it, think they're not at risk, and they go out and do it, I tell you, I would not be surprised if we have to go back and lock everything down. Lockdowns and all that happen because we're not doing what we need to do. So if you don't want to have a lockdown, you don't want to lose your job, you want to be able to go to restaurants, you want to be able to go to the gym and have your kids' schools open, then pay attention to what you need to do now with hand washing, social distancing, and wearing masks. Otherwise, we probably will have a lockdown sometime, and it could be at the time when schools go back in, and that would be the worst time. It could burden a lot of folks in their livelihood.
All right, you're hearing it right there. Dr. Tom Hopkins, our medical expert. You've got to keep your guard up. Now is not the time to think everything's okay. We appreciate you and your insight today.
All right, have a good weekend, Aubrey.
You too.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.